Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Christopher Dean Dawson. Before commencing this evening's Last Post ceremony, we wish to take some time to commemorate the 40th anniversary of a fatal gas leak on board HMAS Stalwart 2, which occurred on the 22nd of October 1985. HMAS Stalwart 2, pennant D215, was an Australian-designed and constructed escort maintenance ship of the Royal Australian Navy. Commissioned on the 9th of February 1968, after trials and a working-up period, Stalwart commenced duty. Operating in Australian, New Zealand, Far Eastern and Papua New Guinean waters, Stalwart served her 22-year career as a destroyer tender, as the RAN flagship from 1982, and later as a training ship. On the 22nd of October 1985, at sea north of Darwin, a toxic gas leak on board Stalwart claimed the lives of 3 of her crew. 60 others were overcome by fumes and required medical treatment. Those lost were able seaman medic Ian McLaughlin, who died on the 23rd of October during the medical evacuation, leading seaman Brett Gilbert, who died on the 29th of October in Prince Henry Hospital, Sydney, and able seaman Michael Oliver, who died on the 19th of November in Sydney's Prince Alfred Hospital. This evening, we warmly welcome members of the crew of the HMAS Stalwart who are in attendance. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Alan George, retired, representing the Air Force Association, and we welcome the delegation from the Japanese Command and General Staff College. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Kilvington Grammar School, visiting from Ormond, Victoria, and Fredericton Public School, visiting from Fredericton, New South Wales. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant John Percy William Bandy. John Bandy was born on the 20th of December 1918 in Mildura, Victoria, the son of John and Hannah Beatrice Bandy. Known as Jack, he attended Mildura High School and went on to work as a shop assistant and window dresser at Burring's in Mildura. Jack Bandy enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 8th of December 1940 at the age of 21. After initial training, he began to train as a wireless operator and air gunner, first at Wireless Air Gunner School at Ballarat, then at Bombing and Gunnery School at Port Pirie. In June 1941, Bandy married Joyce Hearn. The following month, he was found writing personal letters instead of attending to his notes during training. After being reprimanded, he was confined to barracks for 10 days for using insubordinate language to a superior officer. A few months later, he was again reprimanded for being absent without leave. These disciplinary infractions did not continue, however, and he received his Air Gunner's badge on the 22nd of August 1941. In late September, Bandy was posted to Number 20 Squadron, which had been recently formed at Port Moresby with 6 consolidated Catalina flying boats. The squadron's operations comprised coast watching and reconnaissance, with patrols covering New Guinea, New Britain, New Ireland, Solomon Islands, and New Caledonia. The squadron resisted Japanese landing forces at Kavieng and Rabaul in late January 1942 and maintained night bombing operations against these 2 targets throughout the year. Surprise Japanese aircraft attacks on Port Moresby during March increased the danger for the men of the squadron. On the 26th of April 1942, Sergeant Bandy was a member of the crew of Catalina aircraft Alpha 2420, which took off from Port Moresby Seaplane Base on a daylight reconnaissance mission. The aircraft reported spotting 2 Japanese destroyers and that it was under attack by enemy aircraft. The Catalina was shot down off Missima Island and the entire crew was listed as missing. There were unconfirmed reports that some crew members had been rescued by the Japanese destroyer Yubari. A former prisoner of war in Rabaul later confirmed that 2 soldiers captured at sea in May were brought into Rabaul, where they were kept in confinement in town for about a week before being taken to the prisoner of war camp. It was later confirmed that the pilot of the aircraft was captured by the Japanese and became a prisoner of war, but his ultimate fate remains unknown. The crew of the aircraft was officially presumed dead. Squadron Leader Jeff Hemsworth, Sergeant Jack Coulter, Flight Officer Leo McClintock, Corporal Colin Marsden, Leading Aircraftman Kenneth Arnott, Leading Aircraftman Norman Banville, Leading Aircraftman Eric Dorman, Leading Aircraftman Erwin Brown, and Sergeant John Bandy, who was 23 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his name listed on the Port Moresby Memorial is displayed beside the Pool of Reflection today. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant John Percy William Bandy, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.